Yep.
I was like,
Some people.
I've been so busy, I haven't really pulled my computer out. And like,
Nancy, grab a glass. Come with me.
For her. You were gonna ask. Oh, I did. Karen Ralph is also feeling the flag that maybe she could give us.
Well, you learn something new every day. Only you.
Only you.
Josh, are you ready back there, sir? Okay, you can go. Oh. All right, everybody ready? Yep. Let's call to order the regular committee of the whole meeting. Can we please begin with roll call?
Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
Schummers.
Here.
Obrin.
Here.
Mussman.
Here.
Kearns.
Here. All right. First item, we have Janet Turpen here, who's the president of the Friends of Clinton Cemeteries, and she is going to give us an update.
My name is Janet. I am the president of the Friends of Clinton Cemeteries. Some of you guys know me. Cody knows me because I annoyed him over some issues I had in my neighborhood a few months back. Ron knows me. Greg knows me. Bill knows me. But anyways, I was going to give you guys an update on where we're at, what we're doing, and how we're doing.
Do you want to present anything or share screen at all?
I'm not that technologically advanced. I just do photography, you guys, and I work at a gas station, so let's calm down. Okay, so I was going to give our financial status at this time, which in our checking account we have 60205. And in our savings, we have 50, which we haven't made huge.
$602?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm kind of proud of it, though, because I did a lot of that literally when we were fresh off the press of going to local businesses and just trying to get the ball going. Might not be a huge amount, but it's something. It's a start. And a lot of it, we've got a lot of great fundraising ideas. That's what our board, I know a lot of community members are probably wondering what exactly we're talking about. So I guess so that everyone in the room is aware, what we do is we raise money after following Springdale's receivership. The board was created to fundraise money to help cemeteries to not go into receivership. And currently we have 6 members of our board. And one of our biggest struggles is we need some more people interested in joining our board. I am doing dual roles without a vice president. We've had members drop out. We have members that are active on our board. However, they're present, but they're not present. I'm the secretary and president of the board, which it's very difficult when you're trying to hold the meeting, present the meeting, and then try to record the meeting at the same time. And I can't get sick because we don't have a vice president. So, hence the mask. But we finally have set, though, a really good revenue stream idea with a large project. Springdale up in the, what I call the newer section, where most people are more recently getting buried up. I'm horrible with directions, but the furthest part in the cemetery when you drive, there's 2 sections of road that are just in horrible shape. A lot of the funeral homes agree it's very difficult with hearses and even low riding cars to get through without getting a little scrape, or I mean it's got a pretty big lift. I got with Mike Goddard, who is in control of Springdale. He got an estimate from Concrete Polyfix, and it's not a complete long term, but with streets, as you guys are aware, with constantly redoing the streets here in town, nothing's a long term when it comes to concrete. But we got an estimate from them of $6,955. That is our main project that we are working on. I'm working on right now to get put together, trying to get a graphic design together that would actually catch the eye of the public, and getting it out there. And we're hoping to get this amount in donations possibly by spring or summer so we can get that repaired while the weather's decent. Our long-term goal for our board ultimately is to get past just repairing everything, which Springdale, Oakland, all of the cemeteries. The only one that I've gotten confirmation that they're not struggling is the Catholic cemeteries. They're doing all right. But the private-owned cemeteries in town, they're struggling. I've spoken to various financial people in regards to how cemeteries are, just struggling, and you've got a lot of people turning to cremation, which is the cheaper route for a lot of people, and there's just nothing in their perpetual care at this time, to where I feel that we need to get some more people involved. I mean, I think a lot of people overlook cemeteries, and honestly, we want to get to the point where we can get our history restored in the cemeteries and work on starting to beautify them, because honestly, Clinton's doing so much right now to beautify our city with planting trees, and what you guys did on the riverfront is just amazing. And our cemeteries need to mirror that type of effect, because that's our histories. That's who created this town, and they need to have a place to lay and rest that's just as beautiful as the rest of town. And that's kind of I'm not a Clinton native, so people probably think I'm crazy. My aunts were even wondering, why did you do this? And just because my heart wasn't born in Clinton doesn't mean it didn't become part of Clinton. And that's ultimately my goal, is to do what I can for this board, and I also whatever I can do around town to help others. So
If
that's
if somebody's watching and wants to donate, where could they send
Yes,
them?
we do have a website. Thank you, Ron. And it is the Friends of Clinton, Iowa Cemeteries.org. And we have our PayPal that goes direct into our bank account at Clinton National. Also, if anyone would like to donate, we have a P.O. box here in town, which is P.O. Box 203, if they're not comfortable using PayPal or unable because they might not be too technologically savvy, which I've got a board member Ron knows probably exactly who I'm talking about, that doesn't even own a cell phone, let alone a computer or a tablet.
I think your biggest struggle is people, though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Obviously, you need donations, but need people to help out and volunteer.
I was hoping to maybe get some kind of assistance, maybe from you guys, possibly maybe you have ideas of who that would be a good fit.
Sure.
And, I don't care.
Yeah.
We're the most low-key, mellow board. We don't care where you came from. It's about what you want to do going forward.
If you could put like a graphic together, Lisa? Can we have that rotate on our Choose Clinton, so on our Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So if you can put some kind of graphic together with your information on it and send it to Lisa, we'll get it put on there because we have a rotating different things that go across there, and then maybe people online will see it and share it, and hopefully you can get some, and put your donation stuff on there too, so if
Okay.
they see that.
Would that not be a good thing to maybe for our young people to help with too? Maybe through high school
Oh, you
or
mean the Synergy Group?
the Synergy Group.
Yeah.
That might be something to get them involved out.
I'm saying that if you're going to encourage, public giving, then a testamentary gift would be an excellent way to go. I don't know if the board has already considered that, but we could announce that on our website that we would encourage people to do that. I mean, if you're being buried in any of our cemeteries, obviously you have an interest in
Right.
in your own will of saying, I'd like to give $6,000 to the cemetery to build a new road in there so that my family members can come visit my gravesite
Right.
and so on.
And we also
And people
have our,
commonly do that. Those of us that do. I don't do a lot of that type of work anymore, but a lot of my partners do, and I know it's a common thing to see in people's wills that they'll donate to the cemetery where they're being buried to beautify the place and so on. So,
and then also we have received our 501(c) status as well, finally.
Good.
So we'll just make sure legals we're covered on that side, and we do the right things.
I want to review whether or not the city can provide funds for that.
Well,
Correct.
we're responsible.
My guess is our auditors will
We-
give us parameters, but there's probably a way to do that, but I want to
We
make
provide
sure.
money to Springdale already,
Yeah, right.
because
And I think we've been audited already, so.
If the
They're
roads
downstairs
are
right now.
In that poor of condition, we may need to be visiting some of that.
yeah.
Right.
So,
If the roads are in that bad of condition, we probably need to visit some of that. So I think it's something we might need to have further discussions on too.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool. what
But
you're
we'll try to help you where we
Yeah.
can to get some people
Yeah,
donations.
I
or
think we
things.
can figure some things out here
Yep.
to help.
We'll just make sure on Pat's side that we're all covered and good to go, and then we'll
Yeah.
go from there.
All right, thank you
Okay,
guys.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just because there might be a little longer discussion, I'm going to skip 2B and come back to it. Councilmember Shemmers, you want to do 2C for us?
Next up to bat.
Go there. Sorry.
Thought mine was going to be short? Is that what you thought?
I think yours is probably going to be short. Yes.
Yep, so throughout,
Yes.
can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. So if you look at let me get back up here. This ordinance, which came up a situation earlier this year, prompted me to look at it, and when we look at it, it's the area that we do license. We have licenses in all these areas. However, if you look at the ordinance, and when I looked at it, it was extremely vague to non-existent, hasn't been visited in many, many years. In one aspect, looking at point number one, is it's timely, because this is on a calendar year. It's time for the 4 or 5 entities plus in the city to start renewing these. It was also brought to my attention by some citizens that said they would like to have this looked at. So I sat down with Lisa. You can see there's a lot of addition. It's still an extremely short chapter. But it does now provide guidelines for not only our public safety, law enforcement, but it also provides an appeal process, none of which was in there before, to update for our dance hall. After we went through all this and added what we believed would be a good fit and reviewing with several other cities, we took it to our legal team, who put together an outstanding product of which we see here today. So bringing this forward to see if we can't push this through, not necessarily in an expeditious way, but January 1st is the new license year for these entities that utilize a license of this nature.
Have we currently had any issues with any of the, like, I don't know, why don't we have any dance halls anymore, but maybe like bowling alleys or thing like that, or any complaints that we've had to field? Do you know?
It's just like Councilmember Schemmer's outlined, there's no clear reason given of how a license could be denied, and if it was denied, no appeal
Yeah.
process.
So
So it's one of the few left that way.
so basically you're just defining everything.
It's a better definition, but it also kind of gives the guidelines to both sides of the street, if you will. One to the licensee, and it also gives parameters for our public safety and city entity as well. If you look in the history of some of the cities that have had issues in the past, should there have been an issue, and I'm familiar with these, the city ends up becoming responsible, especially since we're the licensee. Now, with this, we now have parameters to work within. And there, again, we're building in an appeal process, something that was not in there either, so.
Okay.
I don't understand what denial shall be, could, 2 or more zoning code violations. What, I don't understand what that might even be.
That's primarily it's referencing where you're using the premises in a manner that's inconsistent with its zoning. In other
Well,
words,
your
you're
license, you are applying for a specific location.
right.
So that if we approve that, we would have been in the wrong.
Well, it's what this is for initial permitting, initial licensing. If they come in and they have a business plan that's clearly in violation of our zoning,
Well, I
we
think
would
that
say, well, we're not going to
needs
let a
reworded because you can't have 2 or more zoning code violations. What? Give me how would that even be possible?
Oh, it's possible. Like you could have a non-permitted use to start with, and then correct that to a permitted use.
Yeah, but
and then do something which is clearly not permitted in the zoning, because that happens all the time. We'll cite people under the zoning code and say that's one of the things you're not allowed to do. For example, sign permitting, for example. Somebody has a sign that doesn't meet the zoning after they've already had one zoning code violation. But notice that what the discussion was we're mainly looking at a combination of 5 or more calls. So it's, we're not, when you look at the first clause there, what we were trying to capture, I think what that discussion involved was, so the fire department has a couple of calls for, let's say, a fire code violation. You keep having too many people here, and you're causing a fire hazard. You got 300 people, you're rated for 100, and there's people wall to wall, and we had to cite you. We had to do the same thing again 2 more months later.
Okay.
Then we had 3 calls for service by the PD, for we're having to arrest people. Or if there's 2 or more felony, aggravated, misdemeanor level or above on the premises. See, we have all those different combinations in there, so it's kind of written to capture different contingencies. So that separate clause there does refer to 2 or more zoning code violations, meaning that's kind of a separate category.
What about this?
So you're right.
2 or more
you're right.
street
That's a
and
good point.
sidewalk violations. Give me an example.
Closing down part of a street.
Yeah,
Without
like you're having.
Okay.
You're
Like
having
right away or something like that.
Okay.
You're having like an outdoor event and you're blocking traffic and you do that twice.
Okay. Okay. And then they appeal to the police chief, the fire chief, and the city administrator?
That's what we came up with.
Yes.
That's what somebody came up with. I didn't. I said, all right, if that's what you want. That's what I wrote.
Don't we have an appeal? We already have an appeal board, don't we?
We have a housing appeals
Yeah,
board.
we don't
Oh,
have
we can't. We couldn't
We
amend,
have a
amend
generic
that.
appeals
The
board.
reason I think this came down this way is because the service chiefs are the ones that are primarily going to be doing these write-ups. I mean,
Right.
I suppose once in a while you might have somebody violate where it's code staff. Usually you're talking fire code or criminal violation.
Well, if they're kind of is contradictory to me to appeal to someone that cited you. You would appeal to someone
A
that
third
has
party
no
body.
bias. Yeah.
Right, well,
Makes sense.
correct. I mean, the chiefs are not
It's
the
like
ones writing the
Scott
citations.
reprimands me, and then I go beg him, please forgive me. And he could be like, no, forget it.
your solution?
Yeah. I don't know if there should be a secondary appeal to the city council if it boils down to that or something.
That would be.
Although I don't know, I want to. Well, I mean, maybe it can go through. There can be a final appeal process if you're not satisfied.
Well, there's a court, there's the district court.
Well, that's getting a little excessive.
People always have that. They always have that option. If the city administratively decides against them, they always have the district court as an option. But you don't need to mention that in the code because any attorney will tell them.
Anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
But you'd be looking at zoning code violations for most of them.
Not necessarily.
Mike?
No, it could be
There could be a lot of different
yeah.
things.
Like he was mentioned, it could be like certain arrests that were happening there or whatever.
All right. Other discussion on this?
I think it's good to get it up.
So, I mean,
updated.
there's
I mean,
other ways
probably
you
hasn't
can,
been
there's
updated
other
in a
ways you
long
can
time.
do that. You can have it read 5 total violations, including not limited to any combination of below.
I'm fine.
You
with-
could do that too,
Yes,
and
the
not
only-
have the.
It's just the people that
You know, like the appeal board?
I don't like the appeal process. The people. Yeah.
Then let's take the appeal out to the city administrator and have it go to the courts. I mean.
No, I don't want. I think there should be another
step.
Yeah. Because I mean, situations. Sometimes we don't always agree with staff. I mean,
Well, I'm
that
not,
happens.
that's
Yeah.
why I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice to see, we do have an appeals board, but it's a housing appeals board. Could they
Right.
not expand their breath to take that on? Potentially, if it gets to that point. I don't know if that's,
It would be a disinterested party.
That would probably, is that a state mandated board and commission, or is that just something
Well,
we do?
I mean, we can rewrite our code to permit the
To include
scope
it.
of that appellate body to include more things than it currently handles.
Okay,
That would require
So we
other
have to change another
amendments to
code
our
then.
city code to do that.
yeah.
Well, I think the reason why this was arrived at is because they were looking, I mean, folks that were working on it were looking for an appellate body that would be focused on this issue.
What if we just add in some verbiage that the city council has to approve the final decision of the appeal process? And that actually then gives us the authority to do whatever we want.
Are you really wanting to go down that road? It does open up a can of worms.
Well, it can be either if it's straightforward and no issue, then it's basically a consent agenda item. If it's something that several council members are alarmed about, it gets pulled and then you got to discuss it, right?
If we have criminal issues,
That's
we would.
the other thing, you now are bringing
Well, it's,
privileged information to the public.
True.
Well, you'd have to make that a closed meeting session.
That's
Yeah.
not a.
And that's why I'm asking.
You can't have a closed session on that.
Are you wanting to go down a road that's,
There's only a couple reasons to have a closed session. That's not one of them.
well, can we move this forward and brainstorm in the meantime?
I think everything, the whole body is updating something that's not there and further defining it. I don't think that would be a bad issue. I mean, we need to get something in place, like you said.
The appeals board could be changed if we have an issue. in
And
the
so far, we
future.
haven't had one, right? I mean, that's.
You know what I mean? Like if something happens, it goes to the appeals board, and then there's an issue that comes out of that. Council has authority to change this if they would like to.
Well, how's council even know if something like this even goes on?
because the updates that Matt puts out, these kind of things
But
are on.
above and beyond that, there's no requirement for us to be notified.
I mean, I concur with that,
Well,
but I feel
yeah,
like
we
somebody
would,
would also
because-
appeal to the council,
Yeah.
like they have in the past. I know
Right.
they have come to a meeting.
Wouldn't it have to be on our business meeting to revoke someone's license?
No,
I mean,
I don't
Matt
think so.
and staff.
No, because we do have other appeal processes where things are revoked that don't necessarily come here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt
We-
I doubt this is a big concern.
I don't think we have a lot of palmists and
We have-
clairvoyants, but Maybe.
Bill, one
knows?
revision we need to make is we need to make that whatever appeal process the council wants applicable under 11603 as well, because a revocation should also be subject to that same due process. We should reiterate that sentence below. You see where I'm talking? So whatever the council wants for an appellate process, what I'm saying is it should be repeated in both those sections.
Yes, I
You
would
know,
agree.
can we just make this so it's
that was my
assured that the
mistake.
council's notified if any action's been taken through this process, and then leave it at that? And if something arises, then we can, you know.
Well, if they don't like the final decision, they could always come to the council anyways, which they've done anyways in the past.
That's true.
I'm partly think that we hired the staff to do their job. I think we need to trust that they're going to
Yeah,
do their
but
job.
you-
But we also have checks and balances.
so
We can check up
When
and
you get arrested by a police officer, you don't go in front of the police officer, you go in front of another party, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're going to plead your case in front of someone that doesn't make sense in my head.
Yeah, I think the thought process was that the chiefs of the various services don't have anything to do with writing the citations. They don't get involved in that kind of thing at that level. Neither does the city administrator. So I think what the thought process was is now you're going to the department heads to see if they agree with what the rank and file out on the street have gone and done. Yeah. But I see your point. I mean, there is going to be some tendency of a service chief to want to back up the person in the field who wrote the citation if the chief looks and thinks that's what the code requires. Yeah. So you always have a policy option of having the council be the last line in every appeal. But once you go down that road, of course, you're going to have a lot of council time taken up with appeals which is why cities go back and forth on that.
Yeah, let's just leave this.
They're not sure, whether to do it that way, because then you have 18 appeals every year.
If a situation arises, then we can always deal with it later.
All right.
This is a bigger step forward than we have had in the past.
I would agree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought it was good. I don't see anything.
I would recommend that if we move this forward, that we do it with the caveat that appellate process should be mirrored in both sections.
Okay.
Duly noted.
So, I'm just going to throw this out there. So if somebody's what was it, soothsayer or something at Pullman, I don't know what, something like that, but they do most of their work online, how does that affect this, or how does that comply with the ordinance?
That actually could go down federal because you have,
You know,
I forgot what the legal term is for that, but that would
Let's say they do a reading virtually and they don't have a booth that people come into or something. How does that apply, or does it not apply? Maybe, I don't.
They may not ever get caught.
I don't know that we would know if something.
Yeah.
They'll know, though.
They'll know.
They'll know
violated
that
the
you're coming
code.
for 'em. Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
Okay.
All right. Do we have a motion
I motion to move this forward
with
With the
legal
change.
counsel?
with the legal counsel's
Okay.
addendums. Yes.
So we're going to put the appellate process in both sections, is what your motion is?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the motion. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All right. Can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Robinson.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Shemmers.
Yes.
Oben.
Yes.
Mussman.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
All right. Lisa, 2D.
All right. So, we received a couple of offers on two different properties. First one, 1104, the neighbor on the north side had submitted an offer. Stated they had reached out to neighbors on the other side of the bit that they weren't interested. We'll notify them regardless to just confirm that. That was the first one. Second one, Fayette Street. We received an offer from the developer that's willing to rehab the property.
Lisa, the only question I had, the first one's vacant lot. Fayette Street is an improved structure. Does BNS have any information on this property, pictures, anything like that? I drove by it today. It's hard telling.
I
Okay, I would just like to know a little bit. It's a duplex, standing. Windows, some windows boarded up. Looks like older wood siding.
Do you know from staff reports from being in the interior, it's pretty much a total gut.
Is it? Okay.
And that's
So-
the one that they would like to
Rehab.
They want to rehab it. I just want a little more information on its current condition,
Sure.
if possible.
All right. So, council, we can do these together, or we can do them separate? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, is that what were you hoping to do them all together?
Either way is fine.
I would like to make a motion unless there's some more discussion.
Second.
I'll make a motion, yep.
We have a second?
Yep.
Okay. And more, obviously, that has to go to the business meeting, so more information can come and
Yeah.
final decisions can be made then,
sure.
so. Okay, any other discussion? All right, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Robinson.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Connor.
Yes.
Schummers.
Yes.
Oberon.
Yes.
Mussman.
Yes.
Kearns.
Yes.
All right, so 2B,
Or not to be.
or not to be. I know we have a lot of people here in the crowd that are interested in this item. So it's been a while since this is brought back to council. Myself, Councilmember Chambers, Councilmember Over, and Councilmember Seeley have been working on this lease agreement for quite some time now. It's been kind of redrafted and reworked several times. The last time it was at the council table, it was kind of completely different than what it looks like now. Our first draft was not with a monthly or a yearly lease payment. It was more of a stipend to the ball club, utilities, all that stuff going their name, and that was kind of where we started out. We've had several discussions with the ball club and their team on their side, and we kind of decided to switch and go to a style that was more similar to the lease that had been there in place before. The old lease, obviously, you guys know, was nullified due to the fact that we lost Major League Baseball. No fault of anybody, but that's why we were reworking this. The purpose of reworking this lease was to be more thorough on what items were responsible for each party, the city and the ball club. Working with Pat, there was also some lease language that was put in there as far as liability, fire, casualty, all that kind of stuff. The things that were also put in there that council asked, we left in there. So I guess I'll kind of open it up to questions from the council first, and then I know some folks from the ball club have some discussion as well. So does council have any questions about what was presented to them? No? Okay. Ball club, I know you guys had some comments that you'd like to make in regards to the lease that was presented to you.
I believe I'm on. Brian Kenny, President, Clinton Baseball Club, and citizen of Clinton, obviously. I'm also the principal at Whittier Elementary. Hi, Corey. So I want a little forgiveness here because I am recently elected as the president of the ball club. My outgoing president, Craig Iben, is here. He's decided he's going to stay on the ball club's board, but had an opening for president. I ran and am learning about some of the history that you, along with the board of the ball club, has been through in the last year or more, maybe, Scott. And I've had some conversations with council members, mayor, just to kind of share my thoughts on where we are and where we have been. And Mayor Maddasion was kind enough to forward this lease agreement to Craig, who forwarded it to me. Exec board met, then we met with our general board last night to share where you were and where we're going with this. And the concern that we have is, in its current state, the affordability of this lease with the ball club, it's going to be very challenging for us to continue on as it is. Now, again, forgive me for not having been here for everything that has gone on. And I've gotten the history somewhat from Councilman Oberon, from Mayor Maddasion, and of course from our board. What I would like Mayor Maddasion and the council to consider is to allow us to reconvene a small committee of council members and board members to work through the current proposal so that it can become affordable for the ball club to continue with the Prospect League and the Clinton Baseball Club, and for obviously the city of Clinton to continue to enjoy baseball. Because I know one thing we can all agree on, we want this to continue. There's not a citizen in this town that I know of who has any sense of reason that doesn't understand this is really good for the city of Clinton. If it's not our top tourism attraction, it's certainly one of the top. And every one of us has a love for this. Like you, our board, we're volunteers. We do this for the love of the event, of baseball, of giving our citizens a chance to enjoy themselves down there. And so then my purpose for being here tonight, and partially again because I'm kind of the new guy on the block here, is to give us a chance to try to resolve this by partnering, collaborating, and coming up with a solution that we can both live with so that we can move forward.
Thank you. And I know, all of us share the same sentiment. We want baseball here, and I think that's our end goal. And just for everybody out there, this is, we had this on this meeting because I felt like we needed to have council update. We needed to have the discussion, and I appreciate the ball club representatives being here. So I guess this gives the opportunity for council, if they have questions for the ball club that they'd like to ask, or if they have questions for me, or if they have comments, if you so choose to pass this through, you can. If you would like us to continue working on it and go from there, we can do that as well. It's really up to you guys what you want to do. Our original target date was to start the lease January 1st. Obviously, if that needs to be adjusted or pushed, that's at your purview. So, any comments? Go ahead.
First off, this has been going really down to the nitty-gritty type stuff that we're looking at, and I think we are so much together on this with just a couple little points that we need to get, really ironed out before we do this. The big thing that, for me, I have a real personal interest in this, as you all well know, and so, from the get-go, it's always been what's best for baseball to get it here and keep it here. And I think we're all on that same board on both sides of the table. I think we just need to get these last little issues resolved and be done. We've had it with our legal counsel, and he's put in his more than 2 cents, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And and so there's, I think
I haven't had a whole lot to do with it the last couple of months.
Yeah.
It's been, the mayor boiled it down to where it's at now. I did all of my revisions
Good.
several months ago.
And we've made a lot of changes. I know there's a couple things that you mentioned that we got to work out. There's been a lot of changes that have been made to it from the original draft when we started with this in, I don't know, was it March or so? Is that right, Craig? March, when we kind of switched drafts?
Of 2020?
Yeah.
No. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, so we've made a lot of changes from there. But
Well, may I ask, what are some of the sticking points?
yeah. Do you
know
want to
what the
mention a
sticking
couple,
points
or I think there's
One,
go ahead.
one of the main, who's responsible for what maintenance items, replacement of things. It's a little fuzzy. They have some concerns, and they're valid concerns, and we need to kind of work through it and figure out, it's a big stadium, there's a lot going on. It gets a little complex. And it's important that the lease is easy to understand because, we might not be sitting here 2 years from now when somebody else picks up the lease to try to interpret it. So I think that's one of the larger items on there. Yeah.
I think it would benefit the rest of the council and even the incoming members that are sitting out there come January, if this does get pushed down the road a little bit further, to try to highlight some of those points, because there was such a small group and you don't want to have an issue with a walking quorum or anything. If there are some notes out there that they could take away from this, like you highlighted, but even to hear from you guys, these are the issues. I know one of the things that, reading the old lease, when this started several years back, I thought it was not well written, and then that was, I think everybody can agree.
Very
They were just
ambiguous.
it was very ambiguous. So I think this is done well. While there is some points there that probably need to be hammered out, I'll bring up one. I think it's the page I landed on, the council liaison. I don't know if that's a sticking point or not, but I do think that is something from the city's perspective would be good to have, you know, a two-way street there so that somebody is aware of what's going on and, you know, can report back to council. Not necessarily it's coming from staff all the time. It's that they can tell their peers, hey, this is what's going on down at the club. And
If I can talk a little bit about that. I think transparency is a really big deal for all of us, and we recognize as a partnership, and the property is City of Clinton. And I think however we work that out between us and together, the transparency is critical. Working in the school system, there can't even be the perception of a lack of transparency. It has to be true and just, and where both parties are feeling like, for lack of a better term, things are up front and straightforward.
Agreed.
Yeah. I feel like we're close. I really do.
14 months after the fact, we
Yeah.
better be real close.
I agree.
I mean, the lease technically expired at the end of October. January 1st is
Yep.
a whole new year again.
I know. Yeah.
I would agree with a couple of you who've said we've got a handful of sticking points. I think we can get through relatively quickly with some conversations.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I guess I would just say that, I know that you guys have all been working on this for a long time. I wouldn't like to see this go, I wouldn't like to see this, I got it, John. I wouldn't like to see this go too far into 2022. And I would like to see Pat take an overview of the whole thing to make sure that we have the city covered for whatever we need after it's all done. If he hasn't been involved in 2 months, I think he needs
Yeah.
to review again.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, we have to protect the city's interest, and you know they're working
Right.
to protect theirs, obviously, as
Yes.
well. So.
Right.
But I would like us to get over this perception of them and us and them, and become more partners in this. Again,
Well, we
I
all
think
own
we
the
can get there
stadium together.
because we all
It's
want
not the
this,
city's;
right.
it's all of our stadium.
Right.
Yep.
True. True.
So what is the deadline date for you? I mean, this has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. What is the date, the magic date? Is it after next baseball season? When is it? We don't seem to have that number ever down.
Next date for
For
A
for
contract.
this to be up here for us to review for approval.
I guess I can't give you a specific date, Bill, but I would say as soon as possible.
And I go back, we said that 14 months ago.
I understand.
Having one that's set on this is very frustrating. It's probably as frustrating, if not more, for us than it is for you, because we also have to look out for the citizens as well.
Absolutely.
And we went through an entire baseball season thinking we would have had this resolved at the end of that baseball season. Now we're looking at another baseball season coming up.
Let's put a date on it.
I was gonna
Bill.
say,
Let's
isn't
put
it
a
fair to
date
say-
on it.
I don't want to put a date. The reason why is because if we put a date, we won't meet it. If they put a date, let's meet it.
Yeah.
So you put me on the spot for
So, hey, there you go.
Well, let's put the ball in your court, so to speak,
Okay.
and then we'll play ball your way. This is not being pushed back because of us. This is being pushed back because of you. So you give us the date.
We'll confer and get back to you.
Fair enough. When will you get back to us by?
You meet on the 22nd,
yes.
Yes,
Committee of the Whole, 22nd.
you got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
I
Brian.
missed that. What was that?
They would like to bring it back on the 22nd committee of the whole.
Wait, no,
have
no,
we
we
don't
don't-
that
Brian,
We will come back to you with
Yeah.
a date.
with a date by then.
with a date.
Okay, with a
certain.
date that we'd like to have everything finalized
Yes, sir.
by.
Because that is just like a
That's a business
yeah,
meeting.
just a business, just
There's no
approve
count.
bills and whatnot. So there
Yeah.
won't be a whole lot on that.
And actually, you could even just notify Lisa, and she can put it in as consent agenda item, and it's all, and you don't even have to come. And then maybe establish a date like Bill, and then we'll go ahead and get a meeting set up.
Yeah.
So we got time to get that accomplished.
So I want to say this out loud so I understand this being new. Communicate with Lisa a date by which we would like to have this entire process finalized.
Yep.
Once that is in place, then we will hear back from you
Yep.
as to.
I think you can communicate that date with me.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you and I can work together to find a time where my team and your team can get together, and then we will make sure that we meet that date. So.
Sorry, I was trying to make it very official.
I appreciate that.
This is a
And thank you for
consent
clearing my
agenda item,
cobwebs,
everything.
Cody tries to make things harder if he can. So, perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, you guys, for
Thank
being
you.
here. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I guess we just kind of leave this alone and don't vote on it at the moment.
Table it.
Still some legal conversation.
There's no action we need to take at this time,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I can answer those questions.
No, these are legal questions. I mean, he is our city attorney.
We're not going to discuss them in the open meeting.
All right.
Okay, you have nothing further for us.
Well, let's move.
At this time?
Let's
This time.
let's
Okay.
move on to mayor and council updates. Councilmember Robinson, you have anything?
Nothing for mayor.
Councilmember Seeley.
No, I know.
I did have something. I forgot what it was. Nope.
All right. Councilmember Connell.
Well, this
Bye.
might be my last meeting. Yeah, I don't know if I will be here on the 22nd. So it was a pleasure serving with all of you and all of the people I've served with before. So the city staff has made this a lot of fun over the years. I got into this really just kind of jumping into something that I wanted to be involved in the community. So it was kind of like jumping in full-fledged instead of just trying some things out. But I've learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun. And I think we did some really good things, and I see a lot of good things still coming. So thank you for making it fun. Appreciate it.
Nice. Good speech. Councilmember Shemmers, you have any updates? All right. Councilmember Oberon. Nothing. Councilmember Mussman, sorry.
You're fine. No, I'd like to thank Janet for all of her efforts. I know
Yeah.
she started out, and then a lot of people jumped ship on her, and she's had to take the whole thing over and
All right.
work hard at it. And I know she keeps her veterans in mind also.
Good.
So, thank you.
Councilmember Kearns.
Shop local and Merry Christmas, everybody. I will not be here on the 22nd.
Oh, all right. So just a point for the citizens, our next meeting will be the 22nd at 5 o'clock. It won't be that last week in December. So the 22nd at 5 o'clock, it'll be a quick business meeting. There won't be a whole lot on the agenda, but look out for that. Other than that, happy holidays to everybody, and hope everybody has a safe holiday up here if you're traveling or doing anything good. So, all right, we are adjourned.